Getting into operations of decimals, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, we're going to go ahead and just spend a couple videos on adding and subtracting, and we're going to make sure that we understand how to add and subtract decimals when integers are involved, when we have the positives and the negatives. But to just start with, we're going to just start with a couple easier addition and subtraction problems for decimals. The one thing that you want to remember when you're adding and subtracting decimals is you need to line up the decimal so that all the place values are above and below the same place value. So all the tens, all the ones, all the decimals, all the tenths, all the hundredths, and all the thousandths, they all line up nice. So if you're doing this with a calculator, obviously you don't have to worry about that, but you should be doing your homework with your brain in your hand, not using a calculator. Please use a calculator to check your answer or the back of the book. Feel free to do that. But again, we want to learn how to work this out, get our brains going, exercise our thinking muscles. So on this one, we have 38.6 or 38 and 6/10 plus 13 and 67 hundredths or 13.67. So what I'm going to do is, for me, it's easier to write this problem vertically so that I can line all the decimals up. So right now it's a little bit hard to see where these decimals line up. So I'm going to have 38.6 and then 13.67, and I'm going to be adding those two. So 38.6 plus 13.67. So we can see what happens. We have this 7 that's kind of off over by itself. What can we do in that situation? Just fill in any empty place values with a 0, if that helps you. If you're able to work through that problem without doing that, that is okay. But sometimes adding that 0 in, for those of you that are more visual, it kind of helps keep everything organized. Once you have all your place values lined up and your decimals lined up, all you have to do is regular addition. The only thing you need to remember, if your decimal's lined up right there, it's going to be in the same place in your answer, in your sum. So we can just go ahead and add from right to left. 0 plus 7 is 7. 6 plus 6 is 12, so we put the 2 and carry the 1. 8 plus 3 is 11, plus that 1 is 12, and then carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So our answer would be 52.27. So very simple. We just need to remember that we line that decimal up vertically, and then the decimal is going to be in the same place for our answer. So we just line that decimal up. The same is going to be true for subtraction. So for subtraction, we're going to line up our decimal. So this 100 doesn't have a decimal. Every whole number has a decimal. It's just invisible. It always comes right after it or right behind the whole number. So we have 100 and then our decimal minus 65.83. So again, there's nothing over here. So if you want to, you can just fill those spots in with zeros. And in this case, we're going to have to do some borrowing. So I know we're going to have to make this a 10, and all these others are going to have to become 9s, and then that's just going to become a 0. So we're going to have to borrow all the way over to our last value that we have. So 10 minus 3 is 7, 9 minus 8 is 1. Bring that decimal down. 9 minus 5 is 4, 9 minus 6 is 3, 0 minus 0 is 0. So our answer would be 34.17. So again, adding and subtracting decimals is very similar to adding and subtracting whole numbers. We just need to make sure that we line that decimal up, and then that we bring that decimal down into the same place, keep it lined up for our answer. But we're going to do the same thing with borrowing, the same thing with carrying. The addition and subtraction with decimals is very similar to what you do with whole numbers.